So in my presentation, I will go a little bit back to what we had in the first presentation. So is to get try to get evidence about what is happening in the field to support decisions. So we will focus on one tool that we are developing within the Crowd4SDG project, and which has a particular purpose, which is to extract visual information, particular pictures, photos from social media. I will present, first of all, myself. I am a professor in Politecnico di Milano. I am a computer scientist in the Department of Electronics Information Bioengineering. And my research area is information systems, so main focus is to try to collect, organize data, assess their quality, and try to derive some useful information from it. To introduce the topic, first of all, I say that we were working together with Jose on a previous project, A2MC, which was related to the emergency management services, which were presented to from ENA before. So the goal there was to collect visual evidence and to build maps using it, as we will discuss later on. And now we are focusing on monitoring critical issues, emergency in particular related to climate in Crowd4SDG. So some case studies as examples. So what we can do with tools that extract information from social media, in particular visual information. We saw that there is a need of mapping floods. So this is where we were starting from in E2MC and continuing on today. In particular, today we are focusing on extracting also indicators from the visual evidence that we are collecting. So we present very briefly two case studies, one related to COVID and the behavioral analysis of what is going on in a given territory, and floods in general, which is related to the challenge of which everybody's working now within this project. So what we were doing in E2MC, just mentioned briefly, was to try to take from tweets. We were focused on different social media, Twitter, Flickr, YouTube, but mainly on tweets. Photos and also videos, but mainly photos, and try to locate them. So normally a tweet doesn't contain some location information. It is informally written here in the text. So we were developing some work to put those pictures on a map. And that was to support in particular the building of this type of maps, but we saw them before. This is for floods, showing where there is water, and in particular we were focusing on urban areas where these maps are more critical. So one of the goals is just to give evidence, finding the tweets that can support giving this evidence. We will discuss some of the issues related to this later, but first let's see the case studies. Of course, then you can scale up and put all these images in a map, and you can access, that was the interface that was developed at that time on WebGIS. You can access the tweet directly, selecting the tweet ID basically, and displaying the information that is available on Twitter at the current time, and also other annotations that have been done to this image in order to understand where it is, what it is about, and so on. So you can annotate the tweets. So that was the starting point. And what we are doing now is to try to take this information and to get to indicators. So to try to derive some synthetic information from the images that we have. And in particular, we were starting, since the project was starting in May 2020, we were focusing on one crisis situation, which was COVID-19, in particular what was the behavior of people. In particular, we were focused on usage of face masks in different countries and social distances. And we were trying to analyze from the gathered images what could be the level of usage of the different devices. So either the legal requirements for distance or physical devices like masks. And we did that with a combination of AI tools, so using classifiers to extract relevant images, understanding the geolocation as we were doing also before, and then ask also people with the crowd to, and you have seen the project builder in last week presentation, to ask people to comment on the picture and to gather evidence, for instance, to ask whether social distancing is respected, whether face masks are used, and so on. So in the end, we can build things like a thematic map, like we see here in this picture. So this is an indicator. So we take with the colors, we take a given level of usage of maps in a given area. Of course, as you see, also it's difficult to cover the whole world, as we were trying to do in this attempt. It depends on the available size of the crowd that is going to help you in deriving this information, and also on the available input information, which is material from social media, which is normally quite good in volumes, but quality is one of the problems. So we need filters for that. And we were trying also some experiments about the gender equality in case of floods. So we were doing again a selection of images which are related to floods, and then we were asking people about who was in the picture, what were they doing, whether they were in danger. And again, we were trying to extract indicators like do they look in danger, and divide the population, men and women. And also we were asking 3 questions. So there, this was the first experiment on that, asking about what they were doing in free text, and then trying to classify that in different activities done by different people. This was analyzed partially manually and partially automatically. So how do we do this type of projects? First of all, we have to prepare the data. So first we have to collect the information, which are the images. We have to filter them. We will see the filters in a moment, because we are going to collect this way a lot of pictures which are probably not useful for us, like drawings or memes or things which are really not a picture of interest for us. So what we were focusing a lot on trying to provide filters in order to give to the crowd only pictures which are reasonably acceptable, and we ask them to analyze them, and finally we collect the results. We use the majority voting for getting the results, and then we organize them and show them to people in terms of maps or tweets on a map or bar charts, as we were showing before. So, for instance, if we take the COVID case, what we did was to crawl Twitter. One of the critical aspects in this type of projects is to select the keywords. So, okay, we were looking for masks, and around the world, of course, there is one issue is that this is done in worldwide, so analyzing tweets which are coming from many countries and using many languages. So there is to be some particular attention to be paid to this aspect when we are looking for something in Twitter. Then there are a lot of also the duplicates. You can discard the duplicate URLs. You can discard links to the same image easily, but then you have also similar images. You want to filter them just to get not to get the same image many times, even if it is slightly different. Then we wanted to find the images which are interesting for us. So for instance, in this case, we were distinguishing between what we call photo or no photos. Basically, the main goal was to discuss memes, which are quite popular on Twitter. We want to discard images which are not safe to give to crowd for working on it. And we wanted to analyze only images which had at least a couple of people inside, so we don't want to have selfies of just one person, and in public places, so outdoors or in airports, stations, and so on. So in this way, we were able to locate them, and then we could show them to the crowd. So we were building a questionnaire with project builder. We were asking a crowd to try to answer the questions that were posed, and finally we were aggregating them in several ways. So the maps I was showing before, and also we could produce some bar charts to show the indicators divided by countries. So this was the way that was done in this case study. And now, just 1 minute, I would like to present the tool as it is now, and give you some suggestions to build your project. So first of all, you have to know what you're to look for. So you have to have a final goal. So are you going to want to get awareness, so to see pictures about a given situation, a given location, and so on? Or do you want to build indicators? Which are the indicators you want, and so on? Then at this point, you can think of selecting images. You have to define your own keywords, and you have to define, to select from a tool that I think you got the link for from Amuda, which is called the VisualCit, where you can select the images according to several criteria, and then you can use the collected information. And here I have some screenshots. I can also go to the tool, but maybe we are a little bit late, so I will not take too much time. We can select the social media. Currently we have Twitter and Flickr. And then we put our keywords here. You see, you can get graphs, you can get something which is, we had Venice, high water in Venice a couple of days ago, yesterday too. So I was preparing that yesterday. Then we remove some of the duplicates. So you see some are going. And then the keywords are one critical aspect in this. We can say, like we said, Venice, Acqua Alta, high water in Italian, but actually what we were preparing in the previous project is a list of keywords in 60 different languages to try to find images which are related to given events. So for instance, for floods or different types of inundations. So we had the English list, I just listed here, and the Italian one, which is not the translation of the previous one, but the most used keywords in these events. So you have to find your keywords to find the good information from Twitter. And then you can go on and select, I show the filters, so basically you have an interface with a drop-down menu, so you can select the different filters like remove no photos. You can select if it is a flood. You can add the locations. And finally, you can show on a map where the posts are, and this is done in this edition on on a small set of images just to try out the different filters and see whether the result you are getting is good. Of course, then if you want to run it on larger sizes, you have to launch a service which is using this information that you are preparing with the interactive interface, and you can collect not as we were showing here, we were starting from 100 images, so just a small number of posts. Normally you want to collect to do a good analysis, some tens of thousands of images so that you can analyze your situation with care. So around this, there were done also other attempts to see how to use this. You can also get the evidence about sudden events like an earthquake. This has been done in the literature from tweets by several people, so you can observe situations. You can also check, this was done also in E2MC by the UNG, University of Geneva. You can check where whether the location we find is a good one. If it is precise, we can add more information about that to be precise about locations. And how can we finally? How can we support teams who want to use this type of tool in the project? You can answer us questions. On Slack there is a VisualCit troubleshoot channel, or you can ask directly. And you can get from us, if you have questions, guidance in the development of the mockup. And we could think of providing other filter and geolocation services, so maybe they're available, so we can guide you also to find them, or even design new services together. So this is what can be done around our tool. And I will stop sharing now.